Section 4.2 is about addition and subtraction, and remember we're still dealing with decimal notation. So objective 1 is adding using decimal notation, and then objective B is subtracting using decimal notation, and then we apply that to solve equations of the type x plus a equals b and a plus x equals b, where a and b may be in decimal notation. So let's get started with addition. And so here is a strategy for how to do this. You probably have already done this in the past, but adding with decimal notation is really similar to adding whole numbers. First we line up the decimal points so that we can add corresponding place value digits. Then we add digits from the right, and then we add the thousands, the hundreds, and so on, carrying if necessary. If desired, we can write extra zeros to the right of the decimal point so that the number of places is the same in all of the addends. Let's look at an example here. Example number 1. We add 0.847 to 1.0.07. And so the comment about write extra zeros to the right of the decimal point means, for example, we could write a 0 here. So now the addends have the same number of decimal places. And it might be a good idea in general to do that so that you have uniformity when you have the addends here. So we just add 7 plus 0 is 7, and 4 plus 7 is 11, so we carry a 1, 1 plus 8 is a 9, decimal point, 0 plus 0 is 0, and here's just a 1. So the answer is 10.917. Again, this is nothing new. You've probably seen this before. Example number 2. It's basically the same thing, except here we have 3 addends and we have 3 decimals maximum. So we can add a 0 here, and a 0 here, and a 0 there. And the advantage of doing it is that you don't get distracted and start adding the wrong digits for the corresponding place value. Again, so we add 0 plus 8 is 8, and 0 plus 3 plus 6 is 9, and 1 plus 7 is 8, plus 3 is 11, carry 1, 1 plus 2 is 3, plus 0 is 3, plus 1 is 4, and here's a 3. So the answer is 334.198. For exercise 3, we have 3 addends, and so let's align this in a vertical format. 0.02 plus 4.3 plus 0.649. And again, to have the same number of decimals, we add 2 zeros here, and we add 1 0 here. So we have 3 decimals for each of the addends. And so now again we add 0 plus 9 is 9, 2 plus 4 is 6, 3 plus 6 is 9, and 0 plus 4 plus 0 is 4, and the decimal of course goes here. So the answer is 4.969. 4.969. And number 4 is quite similar. We arrange the addends in vertical format. 0.12, 3.006, and 0.4357. So the maximum number of decimals is 4. So we want to add a couple of zeros here and 1 0 there. So now we have 4 decimals for each of the addends. And we add 0 plus 0 plus 7 is 7. 6 plus 5 is 11. So we carry 1. 1 plus 2 is 3, plus 3 is 6. And 1 plus 4 is 5. Here's a decimal, and 0 plus 3 plus 0 is 3. So the answer is 3.5617. This was 12, that was number 4 rather. This was number 3. And here's a guided solution. Here are 3 numbers, 45.78 plus 2,467 plus 1.993. Again, the maximum number of decimals for the addends is 3, so we add zeros. We add 1 0 to 45.78, make it a 0 here, and then we add 3 zeros to the decimal. They have 3 decimals here, and then 1.993. So we start adding 0 plus 0 plus 3 is 3, and 8 plus 9 is 17. We carry 1. 1 plus 7 is 8, and 9 is 17. We carry a 1, and so 1 plus 5 is 6, plus 7 is 13, plus 1 is 14. We carry a 1. 1 plus 4 is 5, plus 6 is 11. We carry a 1, and 1 plus 4 is 5. So the answer is 2,514.773. So here the only difference really was that we had a whole number here without any decimals, but again we handle that by simply writing the appropriate number of decimal places as zeros. And the same is true for the next exercise. We write 789 as 789.00 because we have 2 decimal places here, plus 123.67. Now everything is lined up, so we add 0 plus 7 is 7, 0 plus 6 is 6, and 9 plus 3 is 12, carry 1, that's 9 plus 2 is 11, carry 1, 1 plus 7 is 8, plus 1 is 9. So the answer is 912.67. And I just noticed I skipped over number 5, so let's write that in vertical format, 0.4591 plus 0.2374 plus 8.70894. So here we have a maximum number of 5 decimals, so let's add zeros to the end of the digits of the numbers here. So we have 5 decimals for each of the addends. So 0 plus 0 plus 4 is 4, and 1 plus 4 is 5, plus 8 is 13. Carry 1, that's 10, 17, 26. 2, carry 2, that's 7, 10. Carry a 1, that's 5, 7, 14. Carry a 1, 1 plus 0 plus 0 plus 8 is 9. So then the answer for number 5 is 9.40544. And when it comes to subtraction with decimals, the notation is similar to subtracting whole numbers. First we line up the decimal points, so we can subtract corresponding place value digits. Then we subtract digits from the right. For example, we subtract the thousands and the hundreds and the tens and so on, borrowing if necessary. So it's all going to look very familiar to you. So here's a guided solution example where we subtract we have 37.428 minus 26.674. So we line up the numbers. So we can subtract the corresponding place value digits. And so 8 minus 4 is clearly 4, but 2 minus 7 doesn't work, so we have to borrow 1 from the 4. So that becomes a 3, and this then becomes a 12. So this becomes a 5. So now we have 3 minus 6, and that doesn't work, so we borrow a 1 from the 7th here, so we make that a 13, and 13 minus 6 is 7, and then 6 minus 6 is 0, and 3 minus 2 is 1, so the answer is 10.754. In exercise 9, we need 7 minus 8. We need to borrow a 1 from the 4, so it's 17 minus 8 is 9. Then 3 minus 0 is 3, and 3 minus 0 is 3. There's a decimal point, and this is simply 0.339. For number 10, let's arrange this vertically. 1.2345 minus 0.7. Again, to have the same number of digits for each of the terms. So then we subtract. 5 minus 0 is 5, 4 minus 0 is 4, 3 minus 0 is 3, and 2 minus 7, we need to borrow 1 here, so it becomes a 0, and this is a 12, and 12 minus 7 is 5, so the answer is 0.534. Arranging these two numbers vertically and subtracting, 4 minus 2 is 2. We need to borrow from the 5, so it makes it a 4. And then 16 minus 9 is 7. And 4 minus 3 is 1. And 9 minus 4 is 5. And there's a decimal, 0.5172. So 0.5172. Number 12, let's arrange this vertically. 7.37 minus 0.00008. So here we have a total of 5 decimals, so here we need to add some zeros. So here we need to borrow from a 7, it becomes a 6. And this would become a 9, and a 9 becomes a 10. 10 minus 8 is 2, and 9 minus 0 is 9. 9 minus 0 is 9. 6 minus 0 is 6, and 3 minus 0 is 3. And so then the 7 minus 0 is a 7. So the answer is 7.36992. 7.36992. So here you have a summary of 4 different examples. When you arrange number 13 in vertical format, we have 1,277 minus 82.78. Let's add 2 zeros here, so we have the same number of decimal places. So we need to borrow a 1 from the 7 becomes a 6. This will become a 9. This is a 10. And 10 minus 8 is 2. 9 minus 7 is 2. 6 minus 2 is 4. Here, decimal point, here we need to borrow a 1 from the 2. It becomes a 17. And 17 minus 8 is 9. And here's the 1. And here's the first one. So it's 1,194.22. 1,194.22. In the guided solution, we have 5 minus 0.0089. So when we write that vertically, we need to borrow a 1 from the 5. So it becomes a 4. And so it gives us a 9 here, and a 9 there, and 9 there, and a 10 there. And so 10 minus 9 is 1, and 9 minus 8 is 1. 9 minus 0 is 9, 9 minus 0 is 9. So the answer is 4.9911. The last part is about dealing with equations, where the variable could be a and b may be in decimal notation. So, as before, when we have equations like this, we subtract a on both sides to isolate the variable. So we will practice this in a number of examples. It's really nothing new, except now we are dealing with decimals. To solve for the variable x in exercise number 15, we need to subtract 17.78 on both sides of the equation. So this will give us then x plus 17.78 minus 17.78 equals 56.314 minus 17.78. When we look at the right side and we arrange it in vertical format as we have in the past, that's 56.314 minus 17.78, and we add a 0 to it to have the same number of decimals. So you subtract, and that'll be a 4. Here we need to borrow 1 to make it 11, and this becomes a 2, and 11 minus 8 is 3. Here we need to borrow 1 to make it a 5, and we get a 12. 12 minus 7 is 5. And then here we need to borrow 1, becomes a 4. And so then we have 15 minus 7 is 8, and 4 minus 1 is 3. Which means on the left-hand side we get 17, we get x plus 17.78 minus 17.78 is simply x. And on the right side we just showed that subtracting these two numbers gives us 38.534. So the solution here is 38.534. For number 16, we need to subtract 8.906 from both sides. So we have 8.906 minus 8.906 plus t equals 23.07 minus 8.906. When we arrange this in vertical notation, 23.07 minus 8.906. We need to add one more 0 here. And so here now we need to borrow 1 to get us 6, and a 10 here. Then 10 minus 6 is 4, and 6 minus 0 is 6. Here we need to borrow 1 from the 3, that gives us a 2. Then we have 10 minus 9 is 1. It's a decimal point. Now we need to borrow a 1 from the 2, that we have 12, that gives us a 1, and 12 minus 4 minus 8 is 4, and then we have still 1. It's 14.164. So the right hand side is 14.164 and the left side is simply t, because 8.906 minus 8.906 is 0. So the solution then is 14.164. In number 17, we need to subtract 241 on both sides. So on the left side, we get 241 minus 241 plus y equals 2,374.5 minus 241. And when we subtract that, 2,374.5 minus 241, then 5 minus 0 is 5, decimal point 4 minus 1 is 3, 7 minus 4 is 3, 3 minus 2 is 1, and 2 minus 0 is 0. So the answer is 2,133.5. Since this is equal to 0, we have y equals 2,133.5. And this is the end of section 4.2.